God, give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace. May you guide us as we serve our community. Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First off, I will try to keep my voice throughout the end of this. If it leaves, I apologize. We'll see what we can do. Roll call, please.
Blevins,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes. Here?
Wheelan,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Sperling.
Yes.
Previous minutes, have y'all had a chance to go through those and look that over?
I move we accept the minutes of 3/9/15 as presented.
I'll second that.
I agree completely. Do we have any questions or clarifications? If not, roll call, please.
Beck,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Wheelan,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Blevins.
Yes.
Is this where the chicken scratching comes in?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's the finance report.
Since it's a quarter, end of a quarter, I made some chicken scratches here.
Okay.
Hopefully, I thought I could go over them with you. The first one, I've always done the reports from the last meeting to this meeting, monthly. We have total payments for the time period of last meeting to this meeting of $92,595. And our revenue for that time period was $130,734. So we had a gain of $38,139. And most of that's, we had property tax come in, which was $22,000, and then we have income tax, since it is the end of the year and the first quarter payment due. And then, I broke that down for year-to-date to show where we're at year-to-date. And that's where I have the expenses on that first line of $289,614. And then your revenue is the $328,802 roughly. So year-to-date, we are ahead of what we brought in and versus spending $39,188.61. And then I went on and broke down the income tax compared to last year to this date. So as of today, you see what you had in 2014, you had 120,000. To this date, today, you have 147,000 and change. So you have a total gain of $26,440. Of course, that's in that 39,000 on line 2 there. And then I have your water as of this day last year, and of this day, you can see we've gained $15,936 in water. Now, the sewer is a little deceiving. We have a loss there. And I explaining that we have had a lot of very severe leaks this year where people have had to pay water, but we have credited off the sewer, so that's why that number is so deceiving. think, I know last year we didn't have near the leaks. Major leaks, I'm like 20,000 gallons leaks a month, so, that's where that number comes into play. But basically, you know, we are, doing okay for the first quarter. We do have the next, big loans due in July, so
That'll kind of skew things again.
it's 112,000, but we can gain up to that point, hopefully equal out. And then the rest of the year, we, you know, hopefully gain.
And by
So-
ordinance, our water and sewer just has to break even, correct? I mean, it has to pay for itself, basically.
Yes, the whole program, yeah. But it is a good note that we are $30,000 better off than we were the last quarter at this time on the general fund. And if you recall, we were at 40,000. I mean, that's really awesome.
Right. No, that's good.
Not bad at all. Any questions?
Thanks.
Entertain the motion to accept the finance report as 4/10/15.
I'm sorry, I missed that second. Oh,
Was there, excuse me, was there anything throughout the other paperwork that you wanted to explain?
Well, it kind of goes in with the appropriations, but I wanted to
Okay.
talk about the audit when we get to that.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor with a second. Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Whittick,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Levin,
Yes.
Beck.
Yes.
No, got everything out of order. All right, then. Hand me your agenda for a second. Oh, here it is. Never mind.
Drugs will do that.
Communication, please. I don't have anything that anyone sent me. Does anyone know when prom night is?
Yeah, I'll double check. Give me a sec. You got it. Oh, one sec.
I believe it's May 2nd, Mr. Mayor.
May 2nd?
Sounds like I wrote it down.
Yes,
Down there.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
I got May 3rd
Well,
as the prime
second,
breakfast.
second,
So it's
flash.
second, third.
3rd is a.
Ninth is
Sunday.
Saturday.
Goes
Saturday,
over.
Saturday,
It's the
right.
ninth and the second.
Fire department also has breakfast that morning.
Right,
May 2nd.
all right.
It's all gonna be done.
Anyone, I didn't receive,
It is.
I have one, Danny,
yes, sir.
and if the paper would be so kind, or maybe even list it again for us. We have I've made arrangements with Michelle, with ARS for the unlimited pickup. People have been asking about that. It will be June 6th at 7 a.m. They start. If it's out after that and they go by, they're not coming back, so they really need to get it out that night. I've made copies of all the things that they won't take and how they need them to be set up. They're up there on the table for the girls to pass out. So that's when it is. It'll be a one-day pickup. They'll send 2 trucks and they'll start at 7, probably one at each end of the town, I'm not sure, and they'll go through until they're finished.
Good. And we'll put that on water bill as well.
Yes.
Any other communication? No? Okay. That brings us to citizens. Mr. Ballfosser?
Put my glasses on, I didn't print out so good. Good evening, gentlemen. I'm here tonight to ask you to consider approving a 10-year CRA tax abatement for 106 West Mulberry Street. We purchased Stryker Welding from the late John Baltosser in 2006. I have been with Stryker Welding since 1978. Our small business has been both challenging and prosperous. This last year, we decided that an expansion was finally needed. This $350,000 expansion is a 6,400 square foot addition to our existing 10,600 square foot cement block building, and this construction removed a rundown house and a garage. We will be investing $40,000 in 2 machines and have hired 2 new people with an average starting wage of $12 per hour to handle the added workload. We don't plan for our inventory to increase very much, but we are working to make what we have more accessible by adding more racks and shelving. This tax abatement, if approved by council, will enable us to continue to invest in our business, our employees, and the community which we have been a part of for many years. Thank you for your consideration. You want a copy of that?
Do we have a form that has to be?
What we need is, he's already, you already have some of that stuff right here, and we can finish it. It's already in the community reinvestment area, so he's good to go on that. We just need a motion from council to do so, and then that's what that tax incentive review board was. You have to go to that, right?
Yes.
That's what- So what they'll do is they'll say, okay, Jason says that he's gonna do this, he's gonna have 2 new jobs, and how's he doing, and we'll review that and each year. And that's how that works, and gives him the opportunity of a tax abatement. We'll get extra income because he's expanding, so then,
Well, I'll entertain a motion to,
Do we need something, I guess, do we need something in front of us before we do that?
Yeah, I think I should copy this. for
Okay.
you. And this is actually, will go into the motion. And then the application that Jason filled out will reference the minutes in this motion.
That's fine, I just.
I'll make a motion as soon as I have a document. I guess you got it.
Sorry, I don't want to make 78 copies, I only want to make 8.
This one.
Yep.
Okay, looks as though I'm making a motion that we will approve a 10-year CRA tax abatement for the property at 106 West Mulberry Street, owned and operated by Stryker Welding, in support of their addition and their hiring of 2 new persons.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thanks, Jason, for your support of the community. Glad to hear.
Thank you.
Don't plan on moving anytime soon.
We appreciate it.
Hope it goes good for you.
All right, is there a motion on the floor? Roll call, please.
Wheeling?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Spurling?
Yes.
Lovins?
Yes.
Beck?
yes.
Whittick?
Yes.
I'd like to take a 15-second pause for a question.
Time. It was 15 and a quarter. I asked him. We were timing. Oh, okay.
We're good, I'm sorry.
No.
I just want to make sure
We weren't.
something didn't have to be done tonight. No other citizens committee reports. I don't believe we have one. If we did, I missed it. I don't think I've missed any. All right. Old business, we see new business group meeting.
Yeah, we met real quickly tonight just to basically lay the groundwork, say, okay, what can we do to, we as Jason, Paul Chaucer, Terry Willis, hairdresser Terry Willis, Mike Fox, Beth and Patty Rose Brown. And just basically said, okay, let's forget the past, let's learn history from the past, but let's let that there and move on. Let's look for the positive and do the right thing here. See what we can do to, can we bring business Stryker? How can we bring business Stryker? What can we offer if we have to offer? That sort of thing. Just kind of talked more than anything tonight, because we had a short period of time before council started, so there was some good discussion to come out of it. Jason had some good stuff from committees before that were brought up, and things that we need to kick around and we probably need to look at as a town eventually, but so that's about it.
Okay.
And we will be meeting again April 28th at 5:30.
5:30? Where's that going?
Where do we do that?
Terry, are you the chairperson? Are you chairman of that? I can send you some email stuff. I've been trying to send some to Beth and Jason.
Sure.
There's some other things that read about the microzone I forgot about.
Okay.
That might be of help.
Yeah.
And there's that Small Business Association too that has grants up there through the state,
Okay. Yeah.
just for small businesses only. So.
Yeah, appreciate whatever you have.
Just out of curiosity, I see some construction changing, whatever, at one of the empty buildings downtown. Do we know what's going on?
Which,
Used to be the green awning.
the Brenner Building? Renter's store?
On their side.
Yeah,
You just got a building permit for a new window.
The glass was broken on our side.
that was it.
Yeah.
The glass broke.
Oh, this
north window? Yeah.
Okay, I was hoping. Can only hope.
I'm sorry, what did she say this for?
She said it was a permit to replace the glass window. It broke, so.
Even this looks better.
It does. That's true. I will agree with that 100%.
No, that's me.
All righty. That brings us to legislation. You may be wondering why I asked our solicitor to, I guess you're considered our solicitor, right? I mean,
Mark and I both, yes.
Yeah,
He's the solicitor.
technically. Basically, I got the email this morning that, we didn't have, and I think she actually sent it Friday, we didn't actually have the resolution in front of us to review over the weekend, and I thought rather than having a piece of paper in front of us, I asked this morning if maybe he could be here to explain what he put together. I think it would be well worth it, rather than us just trying to look at it and say, oh yeah, that looks good. So, if you would like to present your resolution.
Which one you going first? You want one or you want two?
Yeah, I guess I went out of order, so can we reverse that order? Do
That's
you
fine.
mind? Okay. Let's go with Mr. Wilmer first, and
Well, very quickly, I was asked to prepare for consideration a resolution with an ordinance which is included within that resolution for the council's consideration to add 0.3% to the income tax within the village. It's a fairly simple resolution. It is a 0.3% income tax increase. All the proceeds would go into the general fund. I understand there's a public safety aspect to this, but that's paid out of the general fund, so that's why it's done the way it's done. I know that there's some consideration towards making police coverage, holding it at an enhanced rate, and those are obviously considerations for this council. Any questions on what is here?
if, sorry, if they have other options available, and we're at any point in this, even if we were to have done the third reading, and then for whatever miraculous situation arises that we really wouldn't want to do it, can we rescind that?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the village's option, and even after submitting to the Board of Elections, there are ways to pull that back.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify because I think we still need to take the steps, but maybe something, I don't know what, something, but
Never say never.
never say never. Something might happen to where we might want to not do it at the end, and so I just wanted to make sure.
I have some thoughts on that. I wanted to run by. I don't know if now's the time or not, but since we are doing okay, actually ahead a little for the quarter, I thought maybe the village could look into it and see if we are doing good, can make it till that loan's paid off in 2017. Can you, and you said something in your office when me and Gary and I were in there, if you put something like the 0.5% that now goes into capital, if you put that back on the ballot when that loan's paid off, our loan's like 90,000 out of capital. Is it possible to reallocate and not lose what you already have?
If it's a continuing tax issue, it has been done a number of times in my experience where you can actually go to the electorate, the voters, and ask them to change the allocation on existing. A good example would be the city of Toledo. They have an extra 0.75% tax, and they went to the voters, I believe it was 2004, and reallocated. It was originally done in thirds, a third for police and fire, 1/3 for capital improvements, and 1/3 for general fund. They then went and got permission from the voters to take up to, I believe it was half of the capital improvements portion and allocate that to general fund. Had that gone down and not been accepted, the tax issue would remain as it was.
It just doesn't get reallocated.
Correct.
It would stay in capital.
Correct.
I had asked for that, 6 to 8 months ago to see whether or not that was possible, so that's good news.
Yeah.
Well, my thought was I didn't know. I thought if you put it on and it got voted down, then are you losing something you already have? Okay?
And the answer is no, you're
So
not.
basically,
but it
It's
stays
just
money where you don't need
In
it.
your question, Bob, you asked them, can we use that money? The answer is no, because it's allocated for
Right, and I
capital.
said, can we
You
take
would
it to the
have to-
voters and ask for a reallocation, is that
Yeah.
permissible?
Right, see,
that sounds like it is.
yeah, and according to Bob, it is, and that would be great because we didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
My thought process would be what it was, without knowing the legalities of it. If you take it, says a separate vote and it's no, then you've lost that. But if it's just a reallocation vote,
And again, from my experience, that has been done successfully in that if it was voted down, it was just the reallocation that was voted down.
so no harm, no foul in that.
My thinking was this, if you were able to reallocate and put it in general fund, you can transfer from general back to your capital.
Yeah.
You can't transfer from
You can't do
capital
it the
into
other
your
way,
general.
yeah. But
So-
that almost
so
solves our
say-
problem. I mean, that's why I fielded that question.
So if you
Right.
gain, so if you were able to reallocate and say put a quarter up there, you're probably looking, it brings in 188, you're probably getting you're just taking the money from your loan and putting it into your general. And if you didn't use it all, or you wanted to do a project or something, you could transfer back to your capital.
Well, this would lead me to this question, and with that information, is that something that could be voted on this year, or does it have to wait until?
Well, we need the money to pay the loan off.
No, I mean-
Yeah,
But we could
No,
reallocate
I mean the
it back to capital.
reallocation starts upon,
Right now, it's allocated and it's for a specific.
and it's committed.
It's committed, so you
Correct.
probably would not do it while it's committed. You would probably want to do it after the commitment is completed.
So I would think, but could you do it like the end of December? Because in 2017 theoretically, you would still have enough money there to, because you only have half a payment. you would have enough money in capital to make that half. So if you put it on the November ballot in 2016, so you'd wanna start the process,
Right.
Right away, first of the year.
For 27.
yeah,
Because that's when it would take effect.
and take effect.
However,
Does that sound right?
Cause then your commitment's over in
There's a-
Want to see it
2017.
right.
there is one minor
What I said,
issue with
maybe
that.
not well.
You gotta make it till then.
Oh, I don't feel that, I think we could do that. We struggle a little bit, but I'm sure we could make it. But if you wait till the last minute, and it needs to pass in November, and it doesn't pass in November, then we're really between a rock and a hard spot, because our general fund will be depleted, hoping that we've gotten this money. I think sooner rather than later.
So could that be put on this fall and say
Or
for
May
the
of next year.
2017?
Well, the
It would
problem
make a
I
change.
see is you committed to WDA until 27.
Right, but on the ballot, you just put it becomes effective on this date.
It's something to look into. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, initially, typically you don't work that far out on something like this, but,
But timing is kind of critical, because if it didn't pass, and those monies remained in capital, by that time, we would have been really thin and stretched on the general, where we'd be in
Then
nearly a
you're back
crisis
to
mode.
sell the land or do something
On the
else.
special.
Or if this passes though, Bob, if you decide to go ahead and put this on the ballot, my only comment on this will be what the voters will see. I mean, hopefully the information.
This is in this resolution?
This proposed on, I don't know, the second to last page, I think. This is
Right.
the first time I've seen it too, but this is basically, for the income tax or against the income tax. Is there some verbiage, Bob, that could be put in there? I mean, it could even be approved first reading to get all the readings in time, but could it be added to the general fund to be passed for 24/7 protection or something to that, or for safety protection or something? I don't
you
I
can,
see safety in there, and I think that's, a key,
Yeah.
if I would vote.
let me explain a little bit. The actual proposed language for the ballot
I
is,
don't think you want to limit it 2 minutes.
well, it's, first of all, if you put in it's for a specific purpose, that's what it's for.
That's a period, yeah.
Okay, and again, since police is paid out of general fund, that's the proper fund to put this in. Secondly, the actual verbiage here is largely mandated by the Secretary of State's office. This is the way they expect the language to look. So that's why that one paragraph is written the way it is. So this is a very down-the-middle, neutral approach as you'd expect on any ballot initiative.
Could we, I guess, my question, could we try the reallocation, like he was saying, out in advance, effective 2017?
It was,
And
it looks like
see,
that's
and
solved
see
the
if
problem.
that passed versus adding to people? I
Well,
mean,
the other option that I see is if it was to fail in November, the village would have the option of doing a special election in the spring.
Right.
So, I mean, we wouldn't be totally shot. My thought process was, hey, we give them an either-or type thing, so maybe one would pass. If they didn't like one, they might pass the other. But
See, one of the big things with the 2015 tax too, and I discussed it last meeting, and I'm sure others had said so as well, is any of the increase from the income tax. That is one that I heard that I could go through and say yes to, as long as it was going towards the police department. Okay, and we all said the safety. One of the things that we pay for on the safety side would be the EMS, because we're required to do some of that,
Fire.
and that comes from township.
That's true, but we can support them with
We
fire
do-
hydrant.
We do
fixings and
support,
such stuff.
but it would go here towards the police department. And it kind of
Majority.
sounds like we're throwing it in the general, which we are, and it's very difficult to throw it just at one specific area because we tie our hands.
Yeah.
To this point, everyone I've talked to about this, even though I've said that, it's a straight out nope, or no, I mean, straight out. Even though I say, this is where it's going, and I'm going to push every single meeting, this is what we said it's going to do, and this is where it's going. I get a flat out no.
And I've got, just what I said at the other meeting, they're gonna say it's a tax. No matter what, it's a tax. They don't care if it's for safety, They don't care if it's for street, whatever, it's a new tax. And they don't wanna pay another tax. And I think Springfield's got one of them going to be on the
Yeah,
ballot.
it's Wednesday.
Well, you run into two taxes here, people are gonna,
Someone's gonna get that.
somebody ain't gonna make it. I
So
still don't think we've done our due diligence. I
With-
really don't.
With what we're seeing from the fiscal officer's numbers right now, and what we've said in the past, we're okay for a couple of years yet. I actually like the thought of, let's just reallocate once this other one's done, because then there's,
No
stay a status.
Right,
Yeah, we're
there's no
status quo.
new, it's just, we're just switching money.
I was thinking the worst case scenario, you're back to the land, that was still an option,
Exactly,
I mean-
exactly.
and still not taxing the more.
I'm just not getting a good read off of people on this. I'm not.
I've actually got a couple of, yeah, I would support that.
Okay.
And again, as in last meeting, I think maybe it depends on how it's presented. Yeah, but I realize that new taxes can be a tough sell.
I mean, we're hearing great things, I mean, we just heard one tonight about the expansion over here, the 2 new employees, and I hope it keeps growing.
Absolutely.
So if we don't pass this resolution, we're pretty much, it's off the table. I mean, we're not going to make it in time for 3 readings by the August, I think it's the first week of August.
I don't think we have enough information not to pass it. I think we pass it. the
And that's
first
what I was
reading.
wondering.
We pass the first reading, and then we hope that Beth, by the next meeting, you can do some projections to bridge us through and see what position will be in 2017. Find out what you expect the further cuts from state and federal support for us to be by that point in time, and see if by some odd chance that existing levy might not be enough, even if we're allowed to reallocate it.
I think it needs to be in August 4th, doesn't it?
Support their fifth, yeah.
I think it's August 4th. or 5th.
Because we can still pull this, but I still can't stress strong enough that we're gonna firmly count on that ballot initiative to reallocate that existing money. We better not wait till the last minute, or we'll really be in dire straits.
Well, couldn't Bob, when he researched his council, as far as the reallocation and even projected, if that is legal, which it would be, because even though it's committed funds, you're asking for reallocation after the commitment. And this would be no new tax. If you could get that on there, you can have a consecutive meeting, because a special meeting is also constitutes, it doesn't have to be during a normal regular meeting. You guys are having enough other meetings just prior to, a week before a lot of times.
It just needs to be put on paper.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to slam dunk them and make people feel uneasy that, there's 3 days, every
Right.
3 days in a row, but, you could double up on one and still get it in by the 4th. Is that something that you
The
would
4th,
consider?
when
Then
is
you'd
it?
have both choices.
August
4th?
I think it's August 4th. Oh, is it?
How about each day?
I don't think we have a choice. We'll miss the ballot.
No, I just think we should.
Then we'll change our mind.
Okay. There we
You say
are.
August 4th, 5th, or something like that?
So we could have another ballot, either or. then.
Well,
No
we're in
taxes or taxes.
So we'd be looking at May, June,
May,
July,
June, July, you're still at your 3.
if you didn't want to do something with it, if you didn't want to do something with it tonight, or you have the option.
Oh, I think we should.
Councilman Sperling said it.
I think I'm slowly.
Keeping it on the table.
And
That's better.
this one has to be a 3 reading?
Yes.
Mr. Sperling, I think we should do the first reading and start the process until we know more information about the reallocation.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a second?
I second that.
Do we have a second with Mr. Whittick?
I'm sinking again. I think my chair is.
Patty said that, she says, hey, sure, thanks.
I was up here.
Any additional discussion?
I'm just a little concerned if we do that tonight, based off of what I've been hearing from people. I'm not able to vote the way that may help us as a village.
I just believe we're being proactive, so we have a few more options.
I'm afraid I think what you're saying is they're gonna see that we voted the tax. We voted to put it on the ballot for a tax, and then if we go back and say, now we wanna reallocate, are they gonna reallocate or just
Well,
another tax?
there's that, or if we hold off until May, we still have May, June, July. So we're still at our 3 readings, where if we do it now you're waiting, now you have April, May, June, we still have another month there. I'd like to, I'd rather see it in May, the first reading, if we do
Well,
anything.
Bob, the ballot language for the reallocation would clearly state this is not a new tax, it's simply a reallocation or verbiage of that type.
That's not on the ballot language, no.
Okay, it's not.
No.
Well, then how
We-
would
it
we
would
make
say-
them aware of a reallocation, an
Reallocate.
existing tax with a reallocation?
Where you look, if you look at the ballot language here, it says an increase. Very first line, providing for an increase.
Yeah.
So that's being specific. If it's not an increase, it won't have a tax number, it'll say it'll be allowed for the reallocation of the payment from this to this.
Okay, so would it say reallocation of existing tax?
Yeah, it'll be something, again, it has to be very factual,
Okay,
and it would be obvious to somebody reading it. It's a lot like renewal versus replacement. I mean, they have different terms, but they're obvious by their means.
So in looking at the one we have in front of us, gentlemen, from proposed additional village of Stryker, a majority affirmative, that very next line paragraph would say, however, the verbiage would be, shall the ordinance, reallocating instead of providing for an increase. So it would state what it is exactly, so.
okay, well, based upon your observation of the calendar, Joe, you're saying that we have ample time if we do skip. You can satisfy my
We would still have time to do it during 3,
May, June, July, and August 5th, you say, is the... Is- okay.
Now, we did ask Bob, your concern about how do they know? Now, Beth and I both brought the question to Bob when we had our meeting, because we actually posed Mike Fox's suggestion that he would be willing to, talk to Rotaries and stuff, and so he kind of laid that out for us on what we can do as far as how we can educate. Bob, could you kind of reiterate to the council in a nutshell, if you will? I know we hammered you with questions on, well, can we do this, can we do that, but my understanding is, through our conversation, is that yes, you can provide information. Mike was talking about, hey, giving a village address basically to different groups and saying, here's how, people ask questions, here's what the mayor, and how we do things, and just like this tax thing that you might see, how will they go about that without, crossing that political line?
The village can't operate a campaign, obviously. It puts out a ballot issue and the question's there. Each of you are free outside of the council meetings to speak to whomever you want. That's your right, as anybody's right. It will be, there are restrictions on that. Just be factual and true to what the village is doing and what the intent is.
But we couldn't do something like a little splash line on the water bill.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. I realize this is a toughie, but roll call.
Fox,
Yes.
Sperling,
This is actually a very good.
Want more discussion?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just a little more discussion.
Can we rescind our roll call? I don't think we can we?
Okay. I'm going to vote no at this point, which I find hard to believe, but we have ample time. We do have ample time to reconsider this in case the language is
absolutely your prerogative.
Speck,
No.
Levens,
No.
We did skip one.
Riddick,
Yes.
Wheeling.
No.
I only did that because the calendar shows we
All right.
You didn't wanna wait till the last minute, though,
I don't, but,
and you changed your mind.
well, no, it's not really the last minute on getting this to the ballot. I don't want to wait for the last minute of hoping that we're going to be able to reallocate.
And I think everything's gonna work out fine. That's what I say.
I like your attitude.
Yeah,
Schulman's gonna turn into something else, and we're gonna be just fine.
All right.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's wrong to be proactive and start moving
No, no.
processes forward that we had made a
Right.
determination on prior.
And
I think it still needs talked about.
the same way as a
I mean,
reallocation.
I'm not
if
in
we can-
favor of personally of that myself, and that the reallocation works, that's great.
Then why not?
And
Yeah,
that's an industrial development
Saves
occurring,
everybody.
that's really great.
But the only concern we've got three reasons that we can do it, but I was concerned, whoever raised the point that if this hits the paper, that we pass the tax levy and then we turn right around and decide that it's feasible to do a reallocation, or they confuse the two issues and have their mindset before they get to the ballot.
Okay, with that thought in mind, and I know you've kind of answered this, would you be able to research if we could put on the November ballot a reallocation this soon? To where we would know yes or no next month if we can do that, or if we have to wait until 2016?
I will do that, and if everything allows for that, I will, if it's okay with council, I will prepare the next resolution as well.
That was the next question. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okey-doke.
Yes, and I apologize to those who expected a yes vote from me, but
Yeah, I think as long as I just wanna know, I'm completely happy that we can say no to something like this at this time and move forward with other
Right.
plans, so that doesn't bother me a bit.
I feel like
I'd be an
I
optimist.
sang to a new love.
That would have been the first tie vote that we've had. That's kind of interesting too.
Just because.
Next on the agenda
That's much
is
better.
ordinance 2015-01, revised 2015 appropriation, request pass emergency to cover audit expenses. And that is in front of you.
I move we suspend the rules, pass 2015-1.
Roll call, please.
Sterling,
Yes.
Levens,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Riddick,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion that we pass ordinance number 2015-01, a revised permanent annual appropriation ordinance.
Second.
Was that a third?
That was a second. I don't know.
Okay. Roll call.
Levens,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Riddick,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Sterling.
Yes.
I just had a note on that, Mayor, if you, we did get an estimate for the audit costs,
Oh, yeah.
which is, the estimate is $9,307.
Yes.
And so, that's part of the appropriations was to increase the general fund 5,000, but, what I asked them to do was to break down the hours that they spent on each fund, so that we could pay it out of each fund, and not just out of the general fund.
Good.
And that's something new they allowed in like the last 2 years or so, so
Good.
help a little bit.
All right. That brings us administrator's report.
Before I get started, is there any more business that you'd like to discuss with Bob? Or would you like to release him? He's on the clock.
Nothing that I know.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate your work for coming.
Appreciate your input.
I'm gonna kind of skip around here a little bit, if that's all right. That's how I usually do it. I just, kind of follow up through with this, with the work and the extra money that we're receiving on this quarter, for the general fund. Work is definitely picking up. And I sent the mayor a letter in regards with Schuman. They have responded finally. Not a great amount to discuss really, but it does look promising for us at this point. I mean, we're still hopeful that everything that Schuman has spoke with myself and the mayor will come to fruition, or something at least good will come just from the conversations. That's about all I can share with that, but, I'm seeing billboards up for work wanted. We've got job fairs coming up at Souders. They've got their banner up at the Stryker plant. Everybody around is hiring now. It's really very encouraging. And with this $30,000 above what we had last year in general fund, that's very promising. We may be back into the days of the 2006 where general fund is good. I still like the reallocation idea regardless, because it's the same as capital, so why not, And if there's no new tax, I think that's great, but I did want to just kind of, I spoke with several people on this topic, and I see nothing, as I mentioned before, I'm very optimistic, but it's showing in the numbers. People coming in, even if they're working overtime, and you're probably still pretty busy, I'm sure, so, that's a good sign. Couple of things, trying to stay with my, one thing I'll jump to is, Dan, this isn't on your bullets, it's something that afterthought I forgot. Well, I just got the paperwork this afternoon at, 2:30, Beth, on the Nature Works plan. I know you had spoke to Bethany about it. I'll go ahead and pass this around, but there's a couple of questions that they're concerned about. Start with you, Dan. But that's the flood, we marked that, so I took a picture of it. That's what's standing out there. I spoke with the engineer. He has, in Pogemeyer's, I spoke with Pogemeyer's a while back, and they had said that they wanted to have us do some work, or be able to do work for us again, and wanted to know some of the reasons why we haven't been using them, so I shared some of that stuff. But bottom line is, it's not free, never is. It's 10% contingency, and I spoke to the gentleman that came out from Napoleon, and asked him about it. I said, I was talking to Beth, and she said, you're doing free engineering? I said, well, yeah, they always do free engineering, but if they get the grant, there's a contingent, 10%. But it's a 50-50 match too, and it's for a canoe livery. And that would be neat to have one, but I have a quote of $70,000, then a $99,000 one with $9,000 to the engineer. Yep, I got, 77,000. If we really want to go to cheaper, we put some aggregate down, like we did. Only go further with some stone. It's 52,000 with 5,000 contingency. So, as the administrator, no, I mean, and I even talked to him. And Jason, I know you're a canoe guy, but and you got mine before concrete. That's my goal. So, I didn't tell him anything because I didn't know how involved. I knew that the mayor was really up for the canoe livery, but I think you were up for it if it was free, like they kind of, and not out of capital. But So I just wanted to share that's what we did. I took the guy out for the day, I showed him where we would drop off the other one. He said it isn't long enough. You really need a longer one. Typically, people want a canoe for 3 to 4 hours. Is that right, Jason?
Yeah,
You know,
probably, yeah.
and he said, that's just too, I mean, and so I'm looking at, are you really gonna get it? I know that you've canoed that, and I know that Kent Juliet has, but I know of no one else, and I go by there a lot now. There's a lot of people that fish it, tremendous amount. And as that picture that you see, they're not even sure, I mean, even though there's gotta be water there for canoe livery. Good to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Enough said on that. All right, so, we've been picking up brush every day, even in the rain. I mean, since spring sprung and even before, so that's a constant. We did a water tap, actually for our new business down here. Tim, is it Group Show?
Yes, that's his name.
Okay, yeah. He bought a house, actually, he's gonna be my neighbor. And so we did a tap for him, and the contractor comes in, opens up the pipe, we take care of it. Alan did the tap. This is what they look like, just to, I don't know if you've ever seen one, but it's a live tap, and then Alan went ahead and drilled it. Wes and I were looking for property pins and trying to help the new owner out of where you're at, and we were trying to locate his sewer too. He has some other plans, he wanted to know where, and most of that stuff we don't, have any idea, but we do have a locator, probably not as nice as the gas companies, but we clamp on and get a good ground, and it's more of an art than a science for sure, but we were able to locate what we thought, but we weren't getting good reads, so I did hire Archibald's camera to come in, and we've done that for numerous businesses and individuals, whether they admit it or not. And long story short, we found it, and he's good to go on that. So that's where we're at with this. I met with the Baptist Church and some people pertaining to sidewalk issue, and I put in, we're going to use, here's a big stump that was cut down. I gave Beth a picture of why it is a sidewalk. It was heaving it up. We worked with the church on this. I think it was very equitable. We had a council member there, and some elders and or I'm not sure if there were elders. Were they elders? Rick, you know? Yeah, okay. And even got to meet the pastor. So, huge tree and lifted up the sidewalk and stuff. We helped, we dug that out and we cleaned up the huge pile of, for the grindings and stuff. But there's stone in there, so if anybody asks what the heck's the stone doing, are we trying to drive it? We're not. I'm just waiting for the scheduling, so when the concrete guy comes in, we'll remove that, so that will be there. I've met, as you probably realize, especially Joey, I'm sure sees it, and probably Dan, that corner right there on Road Street, still, in fact, Wes just put it in again. It's been over 12 times that we filled that, but it just keeps pumping. But we do have a contractor. I spoke with him again today. I took him out and showed him all the places where we were going to do it, but it never got done, and I'll leave it at that. And it just happened. But he feels that he will be there by the 1st of May. He's just waiting for the asphalt places. We're first on the list. So we'll be doing that thing down by Subway and all these other little patches and stuff. I've got to look. This is one of the things. This is right by Jason's. In fact, Jason, you might recognize this. Never had that much water. I don't know if we had somebody did a lot of construction here and was driving around, and I don't know what. It's right.
The water runs right into it.
Yeah, but anyways, this is water and it's up on the pavement, and now it's causing some serious problems. I went in, dug it open, and was able to find where the basin is. Long story short, I wanna bring S&S in, I wanna build that up, I wanna put a small, just a 2-inch, it's not gonna be no gush or nothing, but we've got just a 4-inch that comes across the street. I wanna do a directional bore straight in to the basin so that water can all come off, and we'll have that crowned accordingly, so we'll build that section up. It's just a repair and a drainage issue. The other side of that is another section that we're doing the same thing to, although we scalped that off and that runs in, and a couple of years ago, we got creative on a handicap accessible sidewalk where we actually put a pipe underneath it, which you don't see too many of those, but then we have catch basins in the middle of our sidewalks too, so. That's what's happening within a couple of weeks. We've been locating several pins for residents. Talked to one lady who was able to not have to do that by pulling stuff off the auditor's site, but it is the season. People are wanting to plant bushes, shrubs, fences. It's something that we do. We don't guarantee our work. Naturally, we try to find a pin, but it doesn't mean that the neighbor hasn't already picked it up and moved it 3 feet. Show them the area photos just as a service, but it's something that I've been very active at least. It's been taking up some of my time. If you recall, I was telling you that telemetry was really throwing some bad vibes. Now that it's thawed, it's perfect, so good to go on that. This weekend, when I was in the water plant, I got all my water testing done, and I always check for things, and here, both pumps were out on West Street. The reset worked good. I think we got just a burnt heater, which is a small fix, but nevertheless. Some of the heavy rains when they got bad, we're doing just things, and some of you have seen this apparatus, but it's just all new painting that the guys did. This is our valve showing here on the Durolator that is in our water plant. We're actually going to have Jason make us one of these, but Wes stole the money from you. And this is a thing that we've completed. Remember that basin out there in the parking lot where the municipal parking lot is? It was all caved in. And, well, they got that. It was actually Wes and Mike did that. And we went out and looked at it, saw what we could do to it, and we could raise it, and we patched it in. So, let's see. Lawn equipment's just about ready to go. Jeff's been working on that. We've used him, probably a couple of days a month so far today, so we're really keeping that down. I had a picture of a bunch of notices, but I really don't see it necessary to see that last month, just before council meeting, or just after council meeting, 89 notices were still wrote up. They had, as of 10:30, on 4/8, shut-offs at 4/9. But we only had to shut off 17. Last-minute call-ins and stuff. Beth did a lot of negotiating. There may be some more still if they don't follow through, but second chance, third chance type stuff. But still, 17, that's a considerable yet, and that's the nature of the beast. I will say that it's less labor intensive on us and they're kind of getting the hang of it too, where they're not going to have people hang door hangers and say, come on and do it. They're learning to pay their bills. We see it more and more. I think this last time was just the fact that it was.
The biggest confusion is when there's 31
Right.
days. The bill's due on the 30th, 2 days after is shut off. So sometimes it does occasionally fall on the 9th and not the 10th, when there's a month of 31 days.
And it's still a
That
water
is the
bill.
biggest months we have, the largest people are when it falls on the 9th instead of the 10th. And it is on the bill, and we show them, it's on the bill. Peggy puts on, shut-off day is this day at 9 o'clock. But,
Have you got any?
Unfortunately, you have to babysit people.
We've had requests for your phone number, so I thought you possibly could.
Everyone that I've spoken to seems to have been okay with what I told him, so.
Would it be easier if we just changed that ordinance and settle it every month? Then it's no change to swing it.
You know, this next month, the 10th is gonna be on the weekend, so I'm gonna give them that Monday, where I could be, I mean, you could say, okay, we're gonna do the 8th instead. I don't think it matters how lenient you are, I think the ones that wanna find something are gonna find it.
Well, I think
And
that's,
I don't mean to sound cynical like that,
No.
but
not.
it's
true.
the same,
It's true.
it's the same. I had one lady, I said, you know, if you call me before shut off and you can do an arrangement, I'm always open to, if you can pay half your bill
And if it's
and
historically.
it avoids a $50 shut off, we will work with you.
If it's historically the same one,
And-
they're not gonna catch on if it's the
and-
10th or it's the 9th.
And I was told, I was
the
never
same
told
way.
that before, and I know I've told this person 3 times before.
Yeah, no.
You know, so, in fact, I have made arrangements with that
It's
person
not worth it.
before, so I think it doesn't
All right.
matter. If they're, people are angry, they're angry. That's just, I tried.
Well, yeah. Sorry, I got it off base a little bit. Oh, no problem. Typically, it's more like 5 to 9,
Yeah,
what I've seen, you know,
You
which
know.
is still,
yeah.
It's enough, but,
yeah.
yeah.
But there is some
You know,
ebbs and
you
flows.
start off with 17 in the morning, and by the time the actual time comes, it's usually down.
Yeah, well, they
I
actually
mean-
shut off 17
Yeah.
that time, and then turned most of them back on.
Yeah.
Pretty much it's a
All
whole
but
day,
3.
two-man job just for, during that period, just to give you a little insight on what goes on.
Yeah, I'm always on the cell phone. Turn that one on, turn this one off. I think the case.
Now, we talked about spring has sprung. We've got a consumer confidence report that we send you. I'm sure all of you have gotten it, whether you've read it or not. That's another thing, it's a little lengthy and explains the water. Jason, do you get one? Or two? Yeah, okay. So all the transient, who've had the water bills get that. I was going to put in a letter with this, we're done with it, we're ready to send it out. I just wanted kind of the blessing on that. We had talked about it before. Maybe put just a brief note that requesting the landowners that have Kirk streets at least, you know, not to blow their grass into the street because it causes drainage problems. I am gonna cite a code that, you know, basically the code says you're not allowed to put debris and stuff in the road, and of course, try to put a small explanation that, you know, this causes drainage problems, and it may not affect you, but it could affect your neighbor and other basements and
Right.
stuff, so, you know, we'd appreciate it and see what happens. And as time goes on, then once they are mowing, you know, it's just a few, I'll catch them after work or whatever it takes to kind of knock on the door and just see if, you know, I can reason with them that why that's not a dumping ground, but, you know, it's actually a water course. So, if that's good with you, you know, we have the mass mailing, I'm going to do that this week. Then, a couple other things, I had 2 left, open for question and answer. You know, we have that land that we had talked about at the, by the water plant there. And I was wondering if you couldn't list that with the future street, just to say on our website, as well as Whiteco, just to see if anybody's interested. It's a smaller tract of land. It is shovel-ready on that part that we talked about. And I have been, I'm amazed that we actually have 5 permits, and I wouldn't be surprised if we wouldn't end up with that at least, and then some. I didn't think we'd get 1 personally when we talked about that. I just didn't see it, but they did. That being said, though, we already see damage pumping and stuff because this chip and seal just isn't made for semis making turns and stuff like that. If you go back and look at it, you can see what we're talking about. I wasn't really too concerned because I didn't think anybody would use it anyways, but they do, and they've got permits for it. So I've been approached by another individual for the use of that land, but I guess that land is still available if the council is interested in it for $5,000, so, your call on that. Before it, if you're interested. I don't know that I'd spend the money maybe this year since, see where we're at as far as capital goes, you know, as far as putting in the drive, if that's what you wanna do. Joe, you were concerned about lighting that I hadn't considered, but there is a street light, and I forgot that the water plant does have, security's got a security light thing there, so I don't think it'd be too big a deal. Again, your call on both of those listed and sell it or buy it. What's that one show on there? You know,
Yeah.
Love it or list it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys watch HGTV. So that's where we're at. And that's all.
How many spots do we theoretically have for semis back here?
8.
8, and we're at 5,
Yeah.
so it was a little more popular than we expected.
Than I expected, quite honestly. You know, and I thought if it's not gonna be used,
Well, I had, as I had mentioned, those that I had spoken to, which wasn't 8, you know, did say that, yeah, if you put it, allow it or build it, we will come type thing, so.
well, and again, this isn't to hold anyone's feet to the fire or anything, it's, but the other individual that's interested, would like to put a mobile home in there. And that's okay with the planning commission and the present day ordinances that we have. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing, I mean, you're allowed to put semis in there and use them for storage, or Dick Roth does, and he's got a whole stack of them. But it's kind of out of the way, it's not right there. Again, it's the council's call on that. And you know from other researches and stuff where and why it is what it is, so. Questions, comments, motions, whatever.
Is that a open-ended offer, or you got a time limit on it?
I told this person that I needed to think about it, and that's, I thought, well, personally, from the administrator's standpoint, you know, I have a skin in the game, if you will, and not on the profit end of the skin in the game, but just, you know, it is what it is.
Is this a proposal for one unit or a proposal for multiple to rent?
I think it's just a proposal for one, my understanding.
Isn't there an ordinance against parks in the municipality?
Yeah, but, Jason, when the planning commission, which consisted of, you know, looked it up, Fred Greiser, and I can't remember who, but back in the day of Fred's day, and I was on it, they concluded that since you can put anything else in industrial, it can't be commercial and it can't be residential, but since you could put something that makes lots of noise or a big, you can have horses, you know, in this thing, you can, just about anything goes. Semis for storage, like you had or whatever, that they concluded and made the arrangement that anything in red in there could be done with that. And there's a section in red right down by Rick Whittig's that is where that actually applied. It was a manufactured home, you know, and he wanted to put it, and I said, no, I don't see that, so not happening. We went to the Board of Public, you know, the zoning board, and we talked and we went around and, you know, I tried to help everybody accommodate, and then I looked up at the map and I said, well, and of course they pretty much had that part memorized. I said, well, according to this, since it is there, and that's what they did, so.
Okay, so that's how it'd be legal to put a trailer out there,
Yes.
because it's industrial.
Correct, yeah, you can have horses out there too.
Right.
You know, you can.
Or you can have a second expansion out there.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions from the administrator?
I'm just looking, yeah.
Okay.
So I could put a horse on the north side of town.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, okay. Right now the horse is out. It's a long drive, they're like closer drive across.
you're interested.
You might have some-
I might know the owner.
Property
over here. But it'd be a little higher.
Okay.
Good
South of town.
That brings us to villages. Officials, Chief Slosher?
All right. Evening, gentlemen.
Evening, sir.
I'm gonna go right to our report, or the events. Just let you know, it was 92 complaints since our last meeting. 23 traffic warnings, 3 citations, and 4 arrests. It was kind of a busy month. Things are, obviously, the weather changing, getting a little, maybe just a little bit better. Kind of bringing out the people, so. Are there any questions on that? And you've had pretty much all weekend to look at it.
Is 0142 being handled by the Humane Society?
Yes, it is.
Right. Any questions on that? No? Okay.
All right, so we'll just get right into the meat and potatoes of this thing. The training at the school, I feel as if went well. It didn't go perfect, as anything does, but it went good enough for us to identify some of our shortfalls, and as far as the communication between agencies, between police, fire, EMS, and the school for that matter. It just, you know, I think it opened up a lot of eyes for, I think, everybody. Everybody had something to learn out of the whole scenario. And we definitely, we want to do it again. And, you know, the more we do it, the more we get to working with each other, the more comfortable we get with each other. Things, you know, we need the repetitions, you know, in order to get proficient. So, and again, you know, just like I put in there, I definitely want to get into more of the manufacturing facilities here. We've been in a few here in town, but it's been a long time, and we want to get back going on that. So I think, you know, more so than a school incident, I think you're going to have a disgruntled employee. You could have a domestic situation in a factory. I think we're going to be dealing with that much more frequently than we will a school-based incident. So we really need to concentrate a lot on getting into the manufacturing facilities and getting to know the layout and you know, just moving and communicating. So.
There was another one this morning in North Carolina,
Yeah.
a school shooting, so.
Well, those are big headlines, you know, as far as the news
It
channels
was a
go.
small school,
Um,
something that can happen anywhere. Wasn't like Durham or anything, it was, I forget what the village or city was, but it can happen anywhere.
Sure can. I'm going to skip down to our donation from the Bryan Eagles for $500. I specifically requested that organization to donate to the Canine Fund, and so that's going to go right into Sergeant Mendez's fund, and he'll be able to purchase some equipment and do whatever he needs to do to sustain that asset. He's also working with the Humane Society. He's going to be working on, he's kind of taking the lead on getting the sheriff's office and possibly some other outlying agencies to get involved with our Williams County Humane Society's 10-year anniversary. So we're just planning a large canine demonstration, and don't know when or as far as where it's going to go, but Steve's working on that, and so he's doing good things. I mean, it's not just something that we can just, flash around and say that we got a canine. I think we're getting it out there, getting her out there, and getting her involved in the community. And I'll tell you, she's been a great dog. And whether you know it or not, he has purchased another dog, a Belgian Malinois, and he is right around 7 months old. And again, he's, quite frankly, he's paying for it out of his own pocket, and in paying for the training. And this is, a passion that he has, that he has. And I can't give the guy enough credit. I mean, he's doing what needs to be done, going above and beyond, for this village and for our department. So, with that being said, training.
I would like to add something to that, if you don't mind, because I actually went with him way back when we first looked at her and watched her abilities, and she was overweight, a little rusty, and but I felt she was still worth it. And we were able to make that happen, and since then, he's got her trimmed down. I mean, her commands are now instead of later, and I think he's done a very nice job with her, so.
He really has, I guess, for the lack of experience and the fact that he's a part-time police officer. I get a lot of feedback, from trainers and things of that nature. With him going to, several classes, none of those trainers that have, 10, 15, 20 years experience will ever be able to say, after they're done training, that guy's a part-time officer, and that's a part-time dog. None. Because that's the expectations, and that's the performance standard that she's hitting, at this point in her career, and in his career too, so. But yeah, I mean, great things are happening, that's for sure. And again, I'm extremely proud of him, so. And I just wanted to touch on, I guess, we were talking about the whole, tax increase and everything, and, I'll tell you where I'm at with this, gentlemen. It's the fact that the only place where we are lacking as a police department are wages and training. That's the only place that we're lacking. I have enough money for equipment. I have enough money for ammunition. Where we are lacking is the wages, or are the wages, and training, monies for training. That is truly, if I could just get those, lines to where they should be, we wouldn't have any problems whatsoever. No, I'm not saying we have problems at this point, but potentially, as far as retention, because that is a big key factor. Even though officers, we'll tell you that we won't do it for the money, but the bottom line is when my officers go, 4 years without a pay raise and in diminished training, it does make a difference, and it does take its toll on retention. So, I've been, we've been very blessed here with fantastic officers, and we want to keep them, but we need to pay them. So that's my take. Looking at training, trying to come up with, I guess, different ways of training. We had talked about, just like the training at the school. Boy, it would have been nice to be able to outfit, our team or our officers, with weapons, and to be able to get a realistic approach to training. Something with instant feedback. you know, Bob and I had a conversation about simunitions some time ago. And you know about simunitions, Joe, and those things. I was turned off to them because of the cost and how much those things are. I mean, you could buy a brand new carbine rifle for the cost of just the upper receiver for a simunitions barrel. You know, you have to go out and purchase specific barrels for specific type of handguns for simunitions. Although you can use, you know, and they have to be 9mm. You can use the magazines that are provided, but simunitions had a corner on the market. And honestly, I mean, I'm not going to say I feel dumb about this, but you know, because I pushed the airsoft so hard with you gentlemen over the course of the last couple of months, and then all of a sudden, I mean, no kidding, I was just flipping through a magazine that I get, you know, probably on a semi-annual basis, and I saw the product in there that I have truly been looking for and praying that they would bring out for probably about the last 5 years. And lo and behold, there it was. And I honestly, I'm still in awe that they have this out, because I never thought that anybody would do it. And all it is a simple bolt carrier group out of the M4 rifle that you replace with this piece of equipment. And you know, you don't have to do any other modifications to the rifle whatsoever. I guess it's probably on the last couple pages, last page. The ammunition, you know, it is what it is.
It's just slightly more than 50 cents around this stuff.
Right.
That's not.
But this is what I'm proposing that we go to. I've been in contact with the company. They've sold it to several agencies. I do have a list of those agencies. I do intend to contact those agencies and see how this equipment is working out for them. I can't see that you know, that it would be a bad thing. I just boy, I'm just like I said, I'm just stoked about this this whole system, because like I said, I've been around simunitions for, you know, 20 years, and you know, it just seemed to be, boy, there's got to be a better way, you know, to come up with this, and man, there it is, right there.
I can tell you that some of the training I had, we were up in Alpena, Michigan, and my unit was asked to have a couple volunteers, and I was stupid enough to say yes. However, it sounded like fun. They needed 2 people to be held up in a building and have the Detroit SWAT come in after us. We had paintball guns. Those hurt a little bit. They had
Especially if you
Sims.
freeze them.
They had,
Yeah.
they blow up a little bit sometimes if you freeze them too hard. Not that I would know. But they had Sims. It's a little bit different feel when you're on the other end of one of these coming at you compared to a paintball gun. It's just it's a different feel.
It gives you instant feedback
Yes.
if you're doing something right or if you're doing something wrong.
In reality,
Yeah.
I mean, it really does, as he has, I've had the opportunity to participate
Different.
in a lot of this, and when you get hit, it's like, how did they do that? I was talking to Chief Slosher, I did one in Indianapolis, and it was all sniper certified, and I was undercover with my K9 next to me, and one popped one right off the top of my head, and I'm like,
Where they come from.
yeah, he bounced it off the wall, which you can do with bullets as well, if you're good enough. I'm not, but he was, and it brought instant reality to home that I thought I was undercover, And he said, no, you're not. And that's the type of reality that this type of training brings to the officer. I don't think that, yeah, there's anything that's really any better than that.
And, you know, I guess this compared to airsoft, you know, the whole airsoft thing, yeah, it's a nice, I guess, change from shooting real ammunition if you are in serious dire straits. But you gotta figure, okay, you got a magazine capable of carrying, you know, 200 or 300, you know, BBs. You know, it's, you know, there's no, you know, true feel of the weapon system. They're battery operated, so, you know, you just get a little bit of a whisper, and there's a lot of spring action in there. But, you know, with these, you know, you get the feel of your own weapon system. You get the feel of the round going down range and the cartridge being ejected, and truly, you know, with being hit with something like that, it works both ways. So that's where the instant feedback comes in. Just, you know, it gets, you know, the whole situational awareness, you know, that stress. This just heightens, you know, that whole feeling. So.
And I spoke with Beth, and correct me if I'm wrong, but due to the fact that this equipment would last more than 5 years, that can come out of capital, correct? Except for the
Everything for
The
the
equipment can everything but the ammunition.
Right.
That's what they are.
So almost 570,
Oh, I'm sorry.
1900.
But even then, you know, the ammo, like I said, I can adjust because I don't necessarily, I don't have to stockpile, you know, the ammunition. I can use what I need for the year, and I'm comfortable with that. And then concentrate a little bit more on this type of training. And you gotta figure, you know, I initially would want to order about 1,000 rounds. And you gentlemen saw, I'm hoping that, you know, the way that we engage and are engaged for every scenario, you probably shoot, probably really no more than, I would say max 10 rounds per scenario. And each scenario lasted, you know, close to at least a half an hour.
Yeah, about half hour.
You know, so you can get a full day of training.
Quite a bit of it.
You know, you can get a full day, an 8-hour block of training, you know, for less than 200 rounds.
Unless, of course, you have unlimited resources where at the very end you just go crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
you start playing tag.
Just-
Yeah.
Those two scenarios, we were there till, it was about noon.
Yeah, that was noon when we
Time
got
we got done, so.
I was stationed outside, so I didn't get to see it and take down the shooter.
But, so, you know, I mean, you're gonna have, you know, you're not just gonna stand online and, you know, start, you know, putting rounds down range. You know, they do, every round counts, you know, as far as this goes. In every situation, every round counts, but especially in this one.
I
So,
got a question on that.
mhm.
Once you use those, can you get them refilled?
They're not reloaded.
Reload
No.
them?
No, they're one and done. But they also, and again, they also had the 9mm for pistols. You know, 9mm, I think we only have a couple of guys, you know, shooting 9mm now, but we do have a lot, we do have, I think, we have 2 Berettas that the department owns, which are 9mm, so. So we also have the pistol rounds for those as well.
Okay. So this is for the rifles, there's nothing in here for the handguns?
Well, just the pistols, that's all. The pistols shoot,
Oh, you don't need to change anything, you just?
No.
Oh, okay.
Really?
no, there's no slide, there's no barrel change or anything like that.
Okay.
It's just straight on.
These will load right into your 9mm magazine and shoot.
Same diameter.
Yeah.
I can see why you're excited about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like the old Simunitions, I think they were like 8mm or 7mm. So you'd have to have a whole barrel change, they had to be weapon specific. So if you had a 92F, you had to have the 92F barrel. You know, I don't know, if you had a SIG or, you know, Glock or whatever, you'd have to actually buy the entire barrel.
They were not interchangeable at all.
No, And with these rounds, they load right into your
Yeah.
duty magazines, right through the pistol. So,
Glad you ran across that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So are
Got-
you good to go, or do we need to give any?
I'm just, I just, obviously I'm looking for feedback, if you have any questions, or,
With that type of dollar amount, does he need anything beyond?
I would probably have you make a motion because it's, if you're gonna do capital. I just think the other would probably wanna see that versus a general.
Okay, so you're saying 2430,
18.
and that's,
1860.
a round figure, gentlemen. I know, yes, I mean, the bolt carriers, for 6 of them, are $1,440. 1,000 rounds, just like, it states in the magazine.
I realize this doesn't include shipping and handling, but is
Right.
that enough?
But then you're looking at the 420 for the protective equipment, which falls under the capital as well?
The 570 falls under general, that's.
Right, but the next one.
Yeah, they're
So you're
ammunition.
looking at
Protective equipment?
The protective equipment.
So we have the total.
Protective equipment, I believe if it's gonna be around more than 5 years,
Would that last more
You
than 5
could-
years, protective equipment?
you could
Well, I
take,
think so.
you could take
Yeah.
everything, you can't take the 570 out, you could
That's,
take,
I think you
Right.
need it.
yeah.
So 2,000, basically around $2,000.
Yeah, you're looking at-
1860,
420 and 1340, so
say a 2,000.
1860 is what your number is.
But if it's a little
Plus
bit of
shipping.
shipping or something, we can put
Right.
it at 2. Okay, I'll make a motion that we.
Before we go there,
Okay.
because I believe we need some vests as well, and those have a 5-year life.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, those
I did see
would
that.
be out of capital as well.
Yeah.
Yes, and you
So,
wanna make a
I
motion
would-
for those as
I
well.
would-
Do you want to do separate, or can you?
make a motion the way the current ordinance reads?
Yeah, I saw that too.
I would really think that you just authorize the administrator or something to
Right.
purchase it. Otherwise, you're getting it stuck and.
Well, I was wondering, do we need to change that ordinance?
Well, that's something you need to look at.
I wouldn't mind.
My personal opinion would be to say, if I was counsel, I would have never, and back in the day, and even though most of the ordinances are in the 60s and the mayor's ordinance, or the mayor's laws are all in the 50s, I've never seen any, I can't say any, but most of the villages, the village administrator is the central purchasing agent, except for the police, because the mayor is actually in charge of that, and the mayor would authorize, after he spoke to the chief and say, hey, yeah, that's good, and do that. I mean, that's how a lot of villages do it. I can name a whole big list of them, but, because the mayor is just in charge of the police department.
My only thinking was, it's not until the last like 5 years that they open capital up
So why don't we have
up to expenditures such as.
council
like-
basically make a motion that approving,
Just to authorize you to
yeah,
I
make the
just
purchases.
authorize
Or
it.
me to make.
Okay, so we're gonna make a motion for Steve, authorizing Steve to make this purchase. And from the capital side of things,
For the best and
For the best
Okay.
and
then we don't need a dollar amount with that at this
Right.
point.
right.
We just say.
as presented.
Okay.
do you want a dollar amount? No?
I think as long as you, if he has, I mean, the purchase order, you have authority up
I have
to
authority up to $50,000.
$2,000, so.
At this point.
I was just looking at the motion as a standpoint of
Approve.
council
Sam, we
approving
said go
spending
ahead.
it from capital
Yeah, right.
versus
Right.
general police operating,
Right.
Okay.
which, that's all I was looking for a
That's what-
motion for.
That's what you did.
Yes, was it worded in an eloquent way?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I understand.
I second it.
I knew it.
That was a little less eloquent, but I second.
Does anybody, I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions on the vests that
Yes.
I'm having ordered? I mean,
Yes.
So,
The question I have here is, I saw something about a 50/50 match grant.
correct.
Yes.
If we're successful with the grant, then 50% will be reimbursed. Just wondering, what I want to ask, 12, a quantity of 12, that will renew the vest for everybody.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have all new vests.
Two full-time, 10 part-time. I do have
Thank you.
several,
Thanks, Jason.
I do have at least 2 officers that have have purchased their own vests
Okay.
in the last 2 years. So, and they have adamantly denied that they want a new vest. They want to be able to have their old vest. So,
Okay, they're comfortable with it, they know
Yes.
what it is, et cetera.
yeah.
What's the life expectancy of these by the tank?
You know, it just really, it depends. You know, some of them, you know, are down to 3 years, some of them are 5 years.
Tell you what, in my mind, I know what we did for the fire hall. We got a grant, we bought all new equipment. 10 years later, all the equipment needed replaced at one time, and we simply can't afford to. So with that being said, this is wonderful, and 50% match to reimburse it is wonderful, but my concern is simply that these are all going to need replaced. There's a
Right.
block of 12 again in the
Yeah.
future. We should try to get, even with these 12 new ones, we should somehow try to get on a
Get on a
staggered
6 and
X number,
6.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
something
Sure.
like that, so.
Yeah, I
I'm
totally
just gonna
agree.
throw that out for
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it's worth. We'll take what we can get now, but looking
Sure.
forward, maybe we can try to
Break
break
it
it
up.
up.
Yeah, and I totally agree. This grant is available every year.
Well, and it could be different, but if I recall right, when I did that, it was a 3-year grant that you could purchase up to a total of 3 years, as you are awarded one
I-
set of monies.
Or
I
we can
think-
stagger the spending.
Yeah,
I think now it's
Does it
only
change?
2 years.
okay.
I think you can, if you applied this year, then,
And they do change all the time. I mean,
yeah. I can't give you a straight answer on that. I know it's like, I think you can fall back 1 year. Like if you didn't use it, like let's say this year I applied for 12, and if I only bought 6, it still can be carried over to next year, but only for
But
1
only
year.
for 1 year now.
Yeah.
Security uniforms?
Are,
I can drive
are
that.
these guaranteed, I mean, I think, look, for capital, they're supposed to be 5-year
5-year work.
expenditures.
Can you
Are
get
these-
taxed for 5 years?
I think so.
My only concern is something, because then there's no doubt you can say
Just
the auditors, hey,
Yeah.
it's 5 years.
And I'm just, I don't think,
I think most
they're
of
down to
them,
3 years.
and I haven't paid attention enough, but most of them, I think, have went to a longer lifespan.
See, and doesn't that have to be projected 5 years, even if it may not?
Yeah.
Expect.
Yeah.
We expected 5 years.
I
I'm sure
think
it's three.
Steve's right about the grant, though, I think it's a 2-year deal.
Probably.
I don't think, like, if you get it this year, I think you gotta wait a year, and then, they did that, the paperwork for it, at prior place.
I agree with Bob, if we start, like he said,
And so do I.
space it out
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
and not be a double whammy.
If at all possible. I mean, if you're successful, you get 12 this year, that's wonderful. It's just looking in the future, instead of needing 12 in one shot, maybe we can, 5 years from now.
Oh, I
get this
totally
whole
agree.
block.
And the prices that he has quoted here are very good
No,
prices.
they're good.
I see a lot of different options, I'm sure you.
I just randomly put those, I found the most expensive ones that I could. and just- No, these are from Galls.
Okay.
It's, high profile distributors. You guys know all about Galls.
Oh, yeah, they are expensive. It's a great place to go, though, for putting grants together,
Mhm.
because if you use those prices, you normally have money left
Well,
over to buy
that's-
other stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I see here quoted handgun trauma plate and excavator carriers, soft trauma plate, that really, to me, I'm not sure what that means, but make sure you get what you need and you get good stuff. Yeah.
You don't want to be too cheap with it.
No.
Oh, no, that's not a place to go.
Well, as far as the trauma plates go, I mean, those are good for a lifetime, as long as you don't take a hit.
Yeah.
But I've had my trauma plate for probably about 20 years. Close to it. I think I bought this when I first came on board.
So you are interchangeable, can move them on.
Oh, yeah, they're all a universal dimension.
They have them for front and back and sides and.
But I'll tell you what, those vests and what have you, for the protection of these guys.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right, we have a
Can't take too
motion
much.
on the table with a second, but we have yet to do a roll call. Do we have any
I missed
additional,
the second, I got Sperling motion, who's second? Okay, sorry.
do we have any additional that we want to discuss prior to roll call? Roll call, please.
Beck,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Wheeler,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Blevins.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
Go for it. Sounds good.
Hey Steve, can civilians buy those?
That's what we,
That's
we were setting
what
up
we
our,
asked.
we were setting up
Buy
our
those for
appointments
9
here.
millimeters?
Yeah,
So I can buy some for my brothers and Peg?
I think they sell on the
They
civilian
wanna
market.
arrest us or shoot at each other?
Yeah.
Now, it says something about 1 foot.
I mean-
That means-
Yeah, they're saying like a 1 foot standoff.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be the one to volunteer
Yeah,
for
that's
that
it.
1 foot
Do
standoff.
that
Okay, that would
under,
leave a mark.
Absolutely.
I like having points.
Actually, I love the chairperson of that one.
any other questions for Chief Slaughter?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thanks.
I got something under, can I be another village person or?
Sure.
Or am I not?
I think you're part of the village.
Well, I didn't know where it should go, but I put on your spot, I had
Yeah.
Yes.
two trainings. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to bring forward for approval, but they are both free, except for $10 for lunch for the Ohio Municipal Clerks Association Region 1 meeting in Waseon.
It's awfully expensive, don't you think?
It's a box lunch.
That's expensive for a box.
For a box lunch, yeah, that's.
Yeah. And then the second one, I attached on the back of there, that's at Bowling Green. And, actually, I had another clerk call me up and said they were going to this and, there's some really good topics on it, I circled on there what I would probably take. And that's another, you either pay $100 to get points and be certified, or you pay $100 for an exemption to not be to not when the audit
So you pay
auditing. So,
$100.
and basically that covers a variety of classes from the treasurer's office, which this is what, Josh Mendel, this is his courses, basically. And I would be writing with another clerk to go to that. So, those are just the two
So you need a favorable response from us, or is this an awareness for us?
you know, the handbook says we were kind of
Check
covering
with the,
that.
yeah,
The
the
mayor.
department head, which in this case,
So you're asking
isn't
for
on
June
the mayor,
25th off.
thinks it's signed. You have budget, which there is budget, you just kind of give the blessing.
An educated workforce is a very
April
positive
29.
thing, so.
You're not using your personal time for that, are you?
June 25th.
No, I wasn't going
That's
to.
fine.
Which brings up, are you done? Sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm done. Everyone's okay. I
Okay.
just wanted to bring it up for,
Which brings up, Beth brought to the committee that we started, that there is a regional development in Perrysburg meeting, state regional conference to how can we get businesses and what have you, on May 4th. And one of us can go, correct? And Beth wants to go. I don't feel she should use vacation day for that. I don't know if that's-
No, I thought about going, I mean, he sent it to me and,
Okay, so you do not take vacation.
okay. I volunteered. I said I'd take a vacation.
Yeah, she said I'll do
no,
it.
no.
Not when you're doing it for the town.
Not for your job.
I think it's free, I didn't really, I didn't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it is.
Does say
It
no
is.
cost.
Yeah, so it's just.
And you even get a continental breakfast free with this, not $10.
That's true. I don't think you eat breakfast.
This is $10, then they suggest you walk it off.
This is
I read that.
May
Perry,
4th,
Hilton Garden in
Kansas City.
Levis Commons, Perrysburg.
I'm just basically going, I know Will real well, with Peg and I both friends, and he puts these on, and they're usually pretty good. And this happens to just fall into your guys' favor, that's why some copy of that.
Clever.
Anything else? Okay, that brings us to other. Do we have others?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
I would like to call for a judiciary meeting, May 11th at 5:30.
I got it down. What is your,
That's not.
Prior to the council.
when's your other meeting? Your next?
April.
This thing?
28.
28.
Okay.
So May 11th at what time?
5:30.
And that's
It
it?
shouldn't take that long.
That's a Monday?
Yeah, right before council.
Monday,
And Beth, you'll send out reminders, because I know.
5:30?
Yeah, and I actually forgot one other thing on the committee reports. I put NA, but I wanted to ask about a records
We
commission
made 5 o'clock.
meeting, but that's
Yeah,
something else I
5.
call.
May I, at 5 o'clock?
Hello.
Let's correct, make a correction on the time, let's make it 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, May
Yes,
11th.
I got everything ready to be approved, the paperwork.
Rex, what's the topic?
I used to work until 6:30 on the day.
So do that
So
at
review
city
the
at
ordinance
5?
for where his monies comes, or who gives it the approval?
Oh, you're just gonna put the ordinance. The administrator's ordinance?
The, whichever one it's under where he goes to get approval for the money, we want to go through here.
Yeah, okay.
We're just gonna take a look at that.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's any changes there.
If you'd like, I've got information on that, how
Okay.
it might look, as some sample.
Okay, 5 o'clock.
Okay, Monday, May 11th, 5 p.m.
Okay, now do you want to do yours, May 11th at 4:30?
I would love that if everybody can be here. I guess, it's hard to schedule a records commission meeting because I need the solicitor
And,
and our citizen.
yeah. Well,
But yeah, we can shoot for,
let's try for that. Not all
Who is
these
that?
records.
What is that one?
and Terry.
That's records retention.
review.
I have the paperwork basically done. I've had a student for 20 hours needing work for a senior project from West Unity, so I put him to work sorting records.
On the 11th, you're gonna do it 4:30.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna do 5.
Yeah, it'll be our solicitor,
Council.
President of council, Patsy Mueller, who was our citizen,
right,
myself, the mayor, and Gary.
so, that work for you?
Yeah, because if I'm here at 4:30, I can help adjust on the, I can pass out the stuff.
Yeah. And then we've got a regular council meeting at 6.
Wait, what time is it council meeting? 6?
One day.
Yeah, come in at noon or something.
Well, yeah, what else, and I had talked to Beth,
And that,
I haven't had a chance, but
take
kind of
vacation.
run this by you guys, but I would like to, something similar to Steve, I'd like to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday be off, work Saturday, Sunday, and there'd be no accumulated time. And then you know that, and then if you need something that day, I can adjust accordingly, but then you'll always know that I'll be here at 4:30, from 7:30 in the morning to 4:30 those days, and that I'll be doing the testing on Friday and Saturday. I mean, there'll be some
I think
adjustment.
that sounds
naturally.
good.
Sure.
I mean,
This one's you.
Yeah.
You don't think that's
Fine.
But just so you
Sounds
guys
good.
know, if somebody wants to say, hey,
Right.
this is, he'll be here.
in case somebody says why.
Yeah, or if, or
Yes,
if
they
they
will.
need something, they,
Yeah, we'll just say cousin
Go
David.
right ahead.
Dan said
That works. Any other? If not,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
so be it.
We don't want to unpack the
Because you're,
Just because Ohio State Michigan's not playing and trying to drag us out, we haven't forgotten that.
I had to get Chief of Police help to get me to the party I was going to quick enough that night, just because you, sirens.
I'm almost sorry.
No, you're not.
Shut it up, Ben.
Shut up. It's all.
We're still moving.
Are you sure you want, no, I don't want to cancel. Never mind.
What, you're gonna delete that?
No, yeah.